Welcome to Growing Up Boomer. I'm your host, Padre, with my co-host, Professor. And this podcast is dedicated to the life and times of the baby boomer generation. The show is loosely scripted, and sometimes we'll go down rabbit holes, and where it leads us to, one will never know. This podcast can be informative, funny, and sometimes irreverent. But most of all, we hope you find it entertaining. Hi, I'm your host, Padre, and welcome to Growing Up Boomer. Today, we are going to talk about men's fashions and basically what they consider to be masculine fashion trends. Now, some of these you're just going to shake your head at and say, how in the world can this be masculine fashions? But in the 70s, it was quite different. I mean, we did a lot of stuff. I mean, it went from kind of like the conservative post-war styles, right, of the 1950s to almost like this was kind of, shall we say, busting out of that conservative look. I mean, this was the fashion's bold statements, wide collars. I mean, just all kinds of weird stuff. But let's go through that. But before we do, I would like to let everyone know that we had our first downloads from Thailand and Zambia. I mean, that is, I couldn't believe that. But yeah, the first download. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know who it is in Singapore, but they are downloading a ton of our episodes, or audio, of course. But I am. So who's ever out in Singapore, okay, keep it up. We really appreciate it. All right. Oh, and of course, before we go on, some sad news. You know, Catherine O'Hara passed away in January 30th. A lot of you remember her from Home Alone. Remember, she was in Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. But, and I got to be honest with you, okay? You lose your kids twice like that, you're going to have child services knocking at your door, okay? I mean, I'm sorry, you know, that does not happen, okay? So, yeah, and I loved her in Beetlejuice. I mean, she was a great comedian. She had a great timing and everything. But a lot of people don't know that she did a lot of voiceovers. And she was also in Dick Tracy, the 1990 movies with Madonna and Warren Beatty. And she was also in Wyatt Earp. She played Allie Earp, I think it was, what was it? I want to say 96. I could be wrong, but I think 1996 Kevin Costner movie, which was very, very good. I enjoyed that. All right. So one last thing, too, as well, is I do have a movie review for you. And this one's interesting, okay? This one's called Guns Up. It was on Paramount. And what caught my my curiosity about this movie, excuse me, is I saw the trailer. And it's Kevin James, you know, the mall cop. And so I thought it was going to be kind of like a little comedian type of thing, you know, like an action film, but comedy. I was wrong. I looked at the previews and I'm going like, no, he cannot be playing a serious role. Okay. Sure enough, he plays it and he pulls it off. All righty. He's like this ex-cop type of person. And what ends up happening, he's not making enough money. So he ends up going with kind of like a shady mob type of organization. And he's a collection. And they call him the Army. They got this one scene where the rival mob gang is raiding where they keep all their money and all their information and stuff like this. And they call up and they say, call out the Army. That's just him. It's just Kevin James. He goes in and wipes out like 4 or 5 guys, just like that. Boom. And I'm going, okay. He pulled it off. All righty. I will have to hand it to him. He pulled it off. Okay. Now, so yeah, definitely see that as what, if you like one of those things, I mean, that you'll really, really enjoy it. Okay. Now let's get into the podcast. First of all, this was kind of weird, okay? Because we had the Ivy V look, the Ivy League look, okay? Now, the funny thing about this, I'm going to mention all of these, and I probably had every one of them, with the exception maybe of the jumpsuit, okay? But this was a look, okay? This was kind of like the, you know, the preppy kind of look. You had the sweater vest. Sometimes guys wore scarves or they wore a tie, blazers, Oxford shirts, crew cut sweaters. I mean, you know, penny loafers. This was kind of a unique college style type. And I guess it was for kind of like us who didn't go to style or didn't go to college and they wanted us to think we're going to college. That was what it was called. It was called the Ivy League look. And I mean, you know, it was like sports coats and, oh, golly. I mean, everybody was into that one pretty much. That was really, really good. And then, of course, there was the bell bottoms and wide lapels. Okay, now, when I say wide lapels, I do mean wide. I don't know if you've ever seen, excuse me, seen pictures of the 70s, but these lapels came out all the way to almost your shoulders, under your shoulders. I couldn't believe it. The explosion of color. I mean, some of these shirts were unbelievable. Okay, and to go along with that, you had the bell bottoms. Okay, bell bottoms or angel flights. Okay, the polyester suits as well. Okay, the platform shoes. Okay, I mean, yeah, and this was office wear. Okay, so you wear it at the office and for your nightlife. Okay, and everyone just loved these. They enhanced them. If you remember the platform shoes, I don't know if you've ever, and these baby boomers will remember the Pee Wee Herman movies. Okay, they'll always remember those. This one here, the platform shoes, you remember Pee Wee's Big Adventure is when he's in the biker bar and they're about to beat him, you know, beat the life out of him. And he decides he's going to entertain him. And he goes to kind of like the bus boy and he's talking to him. And all of a sudden, the guy goes like this. And all of a sudden, he goes like down about a foot. And he gives Pee Wee the shoes and they start doing tequila and he starts dancing and he makes friends with them. But those were the platform shoes. I mean, they were real platforms. I mean, how we walked and not broke our ankles, I will never know, okay? But, oh, God, the wide collars. Oh, I mean, so much different than the 50s, I tell you what. Then the other one was, of course, we talked about this one already, the leisure suits and the jumpsuits. I mean, these were in pastel colors, lightweight fabric, and the Hawaiian shirts. Okay, that was a big thing too, Hawaiian shirts. And we still, all old baby boomers still wear Hawaiian shirts. Okay, you know, they weren't just for vacations and weekend leisure; they're for every day. Get this, all righty. The patterns, I mean, were just loud patterns. Okay, and the thing about the shirts was a lot of times they were almost kind of like Andy Warhol paintings, okay, kind of, you know, psychedelic, and polyester was the great fabric of the time. Now, there's an old program. Let me see here. It's called Dark Winds. Dark Winds. I think it's on Netflix. It's a Robert Redford, and it's about the Navajo Nation. Well, their police force. They're called tribal police. And it takes place in the 70s. And I don't know who did the research, but I'm telling you right now, if you want to know what the 70s looks like, see that program. One of them have the leisure polyester, and they make fun of him. He's got the polyester suit with the big lapels. Oh, and they just continue to make fun of him because, you know, they call it the space age material. But, you know, they're supposed to be comfortable and everything like that, but man, and then the leisure suits, I guess they were better than the Nehru suits, okay, of the 60s. But that was our, and the big thing was, and this is probably because of Steve McQueen, the turtlenecks and the cardigans. they were big. The preppy and the nice big turtlenecks and stuff like that. I mean, that was kind of like a sleek look. You see them in a lot of academics, right? A lot of trendsetters. They were had the artists, right? You would see it in some of the rock and rollers. You know, when they're performing, but when you see them out in the street, they would have the turtlenecks. I mean, that was big time, right? But I don't think turtlenecks are so big anymore. But yeah, that was it. The other one was, and this one was very, very popular, and that was the bomber jackets and denim jackets. Oh my goodness, you would not believe how many we had. And I'll be honest with you, I had both. Okay, matter of fact, we used my bomber jackets. My wife took it one time. We were at a Halloween costume, and she took it, right? And she was Indiana Jones. You mean she put a little beard on her, you know, like a little 5 o'clock shadow, and attached the spiders on the jacket, right? I think she won first place or something like that. But the jacket was always over, the denim jacket was always over like a t-shirt or a casual shirt, which kind of symbolized youthfulness, rebellion, you know, ruggedness, you know, where the bomber jackets, we probably got that from the military flight jackets we used to see in the movies. Remember? You know, 12 o'clock high. What was it? The High and the Mighty. All of these old movies had the bomber jackets and kind of represented freedom, adventure, a sense of identity for men, you know, in the 1960s and 70s. But yeah, oh my goodness, what you need to do, in all honesty, is you need to just go on search and just look up 1970s men's fashion. You know, I mean, the women had a lot of, you know, you see a lot of that and a lot of it's coming back. But the men fashion, some of it died, and it's probably best that it stays that way. One of the things we also had were ties that were wide enough to be bibs. Okay, the knot was about as big as your fist, and it came out to here. You got to take a look at it. I mean, some of these, they were wide, really wide, and we just loved them though. We loved them. And you always had to have a certain type of style with it. In other words, for me, when I was wearing ties at the time, mine were all baseball ties, okay? Mine had images of baseball teams on them. Or, you know, one of my ties had all the pitches at the time, like curveball, fastball, four-seam fastball, and stuff like that. But, oh, yeah, I mean, you know, ties were just almost a must in the 70s. All righty. Finally, about the 80s, we started getting into business casual. We didn't need to do the ties anymore. But take a look at 1970 ties. You will not believe how wide they are. Okay? But having said that, you know what? It's about time for us to go. I want to thank you, and you have a great day.
We'd like to thank you for listening and remind you, if you happen to have any baby boomer topics you'd like us to cover, just email us at growingupboomer@gmail.com. And until next time, may God bless.